You will have an opportunity to gain some knowledge, get some nuggets, apply them to your life. I think that everybody has a story to tell, and that's the reason why I bring these dynamic people on Word for Word. So today on the show, we have a young lady who has, against all odds, overcome a lot of obstacles in her life, and she has now written a book. She is now an author. And I know a lot of you think that, becoming an author is this big, huge task that only very special people can accomplish. However, I want you to know that is not necessarily the case. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Miss Jeanine Bradford-Lee. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I am doing awesome. Since we met a few weeks ago, I've been just like on the moon waiting to really talk to you about this whole journey that you've been on, that you're on.
Yes.
And, you have quite a dynamic story to tell. And so I want everybody to have the opportunity to listen to this story of yours and gain some knowledge from it. And let's see where this conversation goes. And so I'd like to set the foundation.
Okay.
And after reading your bio, you talk about how your parents had a dynamic effect on your life.
Yes.
So why don't you share with us the relationship between you and your parents, if you would?
Okay. Thanks for having me. My relationship with my parents, my dad is unfortunately deceased. I had a very close relationship with him. I was a daddy's girl. So till this day, that still bothers me, that I don't have my dad to talk to, or that he didn't get a chance to walk me down the aisle, or I just can't talk to him when I want to. I don't have my dad. My relationship with my mother, I don't have one, unfortunately, because of the path that I'm choosing to take and my different opinions on things. There's no accountability on her part. And now with me writing my book, I am trying to gain more information about substance abuse. So I'm not as upset with her as I was growing up because of the choices both her and my dad decided to make, because both of them abused drugs. So I am trying to gain a little bit more information on that so that I won't be as angry with her for some of the choices she made. But because I am choosing to speak out about my trauma and the decisions that the adults around me made and how it affected me, I don't have a relationship with my mom.
Well, sometimes we have to make those hard choices, right?
Yes. My sister raised me.
Okay. Now, how much older is your sister than you?
She's about, I think she's almost close to 50. I don't know her exact age. I don't have a relationship with her either, unfortunately.
Okay.
Because of I'm like on an island by myself, if you would say. I've always felt like that growing up. I've always felt like I've been treated differently, but because of what we sometimes envision or want, or picture like a family should be, sometimes we just put up with certain things in hopes that it will change. So I'll speak to my family, I'll go to some functions and things like that, but I've always felt like I've been treated different because of just me and my opinions and the things that I say. Sometimes I'm very blunt and I talk about how certain things bother me, and sometimes certain people aren't ready to hear certain things. They feel attacked. So I'm learning that you sometimes have to meet people where they are, and sometimes what you may be saying is not what they're hearing. So with me writing my book, I received a lot of hate for that. A lot. And, I know for the Black families, we're taught to sweep things under the rug. What goes on in this house stays in this house. And that's not the way to go, because a lot of times when things are happening in our households, the person it's affecting, what happens to that person? So everyone is looking at my story and my book, where my family is looking at my story and my book as of me doing it to hurt them or embarrassing the family or putting all the family business out there. But it's hard for them to look at it from my perspective. It's helping me heal. I'm trying to start a conversation with you guys about what hurt me growing up, what bothered me, what caused me trauma, why I have to unlearn some things that I learned unintentionally just by living there. But some people are not ready to sit and hear those things.
I can understand as an adult that they may not want to accept the fact that they possibly could have done something about the things that were happening to you. Is that how you kind of see it?
That's exactly how I feel. And we get so caught up sometimes in expecting a certain reaction of people, and it sometimes set us up for disappointment. So now people wonder why sometimes I've been guarded and I'm so hard, but that trauma made me hard. Or they'll say things like, "You're always looking mean. You have the rest in B face." They call it the rest in B face. And it's not a mean look or a rest in B face. It's just a face filled with trauma. And I'm trying to figure out a way to get it out and get over it.
Now, you said a resting mean face?
No, they call it a rest in B face.
Okay.
They call it, yeah. I get that so much. You have a rest in B face, and it's like, no, this is a face filled with trauma that I'm trying to unleash it and help heal myself.
Now, before you wrote the book,
yes,
how did you deal with the traumatic experiences in your life that you suffered from?
I didn't deal with it, and that's the problem. It will come up at times for a long time. I didn't know what was wrong with me, because growing up, you put all those bad things so far in your head to try to forget it happened, so that you can still face the same people that's causing that trauma. I've sat in my abuser's face and talked and had conversations, and because in my mind it didn't happen. So if it didn't happen, everything's good. It's copacetic. So I went through life pretending that it didn't happen. And I pushed it so far in my head that sometimes when it would come up unexpectedly and things that I didn't know that would trigger, I found out that it was certain that I had triggers, but I didn't know that. So it will come up and I would just get upset or start crying, or I would be very angry out of nowhere. And I saw that happening too often. I saw it happening with my children. I saw it happening with my husband, who was my fiance and boyfriend at the time. And that's when I realized, like, I need help. And another thing we're taught in the Black families, seeing a therapist is for white people. You don't need to go talk to anyone. So, all these things are in our, inside of us as kids. Right. And we're growing up with these thinking, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't show this. I can't do that. If I cry, if I do this, I show emotion. I'm weak. I'm soft. All the things that not just family, but society around us, our environment has taught us. It's embedded in us. So we're growing up with all these bad habits and we don't have any outlet. So I made that decision that I need help. I need to talk. I need to go speak to someone, because I'm spiraling. I'm getting upset. I'm getting angry. I'm crying. I'm frustrated. Every little thing bothered me. So that's when I just decided to everything that was taught to me by the environment, the society, and family growing up, I decided to forget about all of that and just try to get help for myself.
So in going through all these different situations, so you mentioned your children, your boyfriend, and then as a fiance, what was the straw that broke the camel's back, that the light bulb went off and you said, I have to get some help?
We would be just sitting down as a family or just watching TV, and something will come on. And I used to watch SVU with my oldest daughter a lot, and my husband sometimes. And we know how sensitive those episodes are. and I just started crying. But I you know, when I show emotion, sometimes I'm able to hide it or hurry up and get it together. I couldn't get it. I could not. I tried everything to get it together, and I could. My tears just kept flowing, and my husband like, "What's wrong?" You know, my kids like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "Nothing." I instantly got aggressive and upset because now they notice this emotion that I'm trying to hide. And I'm noticing that I'm no longer able to hide it. So now I'm like, okay, something's up because I've been hiding this for 10 plus years. I've done a good job at, I call it mask on, mask off. I've done a good job with it, but now it's out of my hands and I can't control it. So I had a talk with my husband that night, and I told him, I think I'm going to go to the doctor, let them know my symptoms, see if something mentally is wrong or see if I need to take some medication. I said, I'm going to call my insurance and try to talk to a therapist. And my husband is very holistic. He doesn't believe in medications. He doesn't believe in any of that. So he's like, you know, I hear you. I support you. He's like, I don't think you should do medication if that's an option, but I do support you in going to speak to a therapist or a counselor. And so that's what I did that week. I went to the doctor. They diagnosed me with anxiety and depression, which I knew since I was a kid. I knew that I struggled with that. But again, I have to put the mask on. The show must go on. I have to keep going because that's all I was taught to do, just keep going. And they tried to prescribe me medications. I did take them for a little bit, but I didn't like how they made me feel. So I started seeing a therapist. And at first, seeing a therapist can be scary because you're talking to someone who you don't know. But on the other hand, it's good because this person is not biased in any way. And they're coming from a standpoint where they're a professional and they're trying to help you. So when speaking to the therapist, she told me to write my bad thoughts down and kind of ball them up or fold them up and put it like in a container with a top. And by the end of the night, I can dump them or burn them. And if I dump them, it's called sinking the ship. So again, from where I'm from, I'm like, I'm already doubtful and negative. This is not going to work. Because again, how
you're negative Nancy.
This is not, I'm already against it. But I'm like, no, you made the decision to try to help yourself. You took those steps. So you're going to give everything a try because what you've been doing is no longer working. So you have to try to find something else that's going to help, something positive. So I started doing that. And the first couple of days, it didn't work. But that's because in my mind, I've already decided that it didn't work. So, and we have to really understand this when we're trying to do something and in our mind, we're already, this is not going to work. It's already negative thoughts. Then that's what's going to produce negative results. So after about a week, I noticed it started to work. So then I started to journal and I'm like, okay.
Well, hold on. What did you notice that made you realize that this could be effective?
My thought process, the way I thought about it changed. It shifted. I told myself, okay, positive affirmations. Again, people telling you is what you think is what will happen. That doesn't work, but I'm going to try it now. So I'm thinking positive. When you write these feelings down, Jeanine, you write this bad thought down, what time you're feeling it, when you're feeling it, you ball it up and put it in there. That's it. Let's try not to circle back to it. And if you do circle back to it, you write it down again. Write it a little harder this time. Make the print a little darker. Ball it up harder. Like I'm telling myself this is going to work. And that's what happened. When I shift my thought process about it, everything changed.
That's awesome. And I know for a fact that that particular type of activity or exercise would be good for anybody. Right? I don't think you'd have to go through your particular story.
No.
But I mean, we all have our bad days. We have our bad thoughts. And you got to get it out of your system or else you're going to live with it.
To get it out. You cannot keep it in.
Now, you also mentioned in your bio that you are a first generational college graduate.
Yes, from a university. Yes.
So you were dealing with these demons, if you will, while you were in college?
I was dealing with these demons while I was in college. I'm also a teenage mom.
Mm.
So a lot of that, stem from, I often blame myself, because so many people abuse me sexually that growing up, I'm thinking, is it something I'm doing? Do I have a sign on my forehead that says, touch me, molest me? Like, am I wearing provocative clothes? Like, is it something that I'm giving off to these men to make them do what they do to me? So then when I became a teenage mom, I really started to blame myself. Like, how could you even want to be sexually active after being sexually molested so many times? So I struggle with that a lot, because I told myself that shouldn't even been on your mind. Like, you've been molested so many times. Why would you think about, oh, let me have, things like that in a child's mind? It's like, I'm blaming myself. I did a lot of blaming. It's my fault. So when I had my daughter, oh, that's when I knew I wanted different. I wanted better. I wanted different and better for her. I didn't, and it's nothing against anyone. And I keep saying this, and people tell me, stop saying this. Your story is not defaming anyone. You're just speaking from you, because I don't want to offend anyone. But the way I grew up, I didn't want that for my daughter. I didn't want that for any of my kids. I didn't want it for myself. So I felt like I have the power now. I have a child. This child is dependent on me. So I have to do everything I can to make sure that this child, not only that I can provide for this child in a way that I was not provided for, but also I need to teach this child things that I wasn't taught. So I made that a priority for me. She was like the fire lit under me. I had to do something different, not only for me, but now I had someone else that looks up to me that I had to be a role model for. So I had to really hit it hard.
What's your daughter's name?
Amaya.
Amaya. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So now you're a college graduate. You now have a master's in social work?
My bachelor's is in family social services. My master's in human services.
Now, is your background the reason that you chose that path?
Yes.
Okay.
I enjoy helping people. It's a passion of mine. Like, I grew up in the projects, and growing up in the projects, you don't have much. And before my sister came and got us, I have a sister that's 4 years older than me. We were very poor, because at that time my dad had left. Her dad was not around. None of my mom children's dad were in the picture helping out, sort of say. It was just her, and she abused drugs. So I had a brother who sold drugs, and then I had an older sister who took care of us, who sold drugs or who had boyfriends that sold drugs. So me and my younger sister depended on everyone else to take care of us. And because of that, because of my mom's drug choices, we were not the best hygiene, not the best clothes, food, it was not good. So my sister, she came and took us. And at that time, she was a kid herself, but she did the best she could. And I felt like, okay, she moved us to the South Side projects, Inglewood area. And in my mind, I'm like, this is going to be better. I'm not going to have to see drug dealers banging on the door, seeing my mom do drugs, owing out all her, government assistance, things like that. It's going to be better over here because my sister's going to take care of us. And she did. We had food. We had basic hygiene, like soap, water. Like, we had those things. But with that, for me, is where my trauma began, because the person who she was with touched me for years. So I'm being she's taking care and providing me, and it's a better lifestyle than my mom. But for me personally, I'm suffering.
And at what point did she know, or was that truth never revealed?
That truth was never revealed on my end. I can't say what people know and what they didn't know. it was never revealed on my end until years ago. I had just had my second baby, my second daughter, and I told them. I told my mom first. We were sitting at the kitchen table, and we were listening to the radio, playing cards, and something just told me to tell her, and I told her. We cried. She said she didn't know, but then the next day, she went and was talking to him, and like nothing happened. So that hurt me, because something I've been holding in for all these years. I just told you what happened to me, and you go in and get some weed from them. So that wall.
You trusted her, and then you lost trust.
Now I'm guarded again.
Right.
Then I tell the other families members, and some other family members came back to me and said that, some of the adults said, well, why did I keep getting in the bed? So now I'm being blamed.
Mm-hmm.
So the very thing that victims, we don't speak out a lot because of the backlash we're going to receive from people. Oh, she's lying. She was fast. She's that. You're going to get blamed for it. And the very people that you want to support you, they're not, but you're looking for that. I went to the police. That was a horrible experience. They told me the only how that they can do something if I have an old pair of underwear. So now my family is not supporting me. No one's calling me. How are you doing? That took courage for you to say, I'm sorry that happened to you. She shouldn't have kept getting in the bed. She's lying. The police like, there's nothing I can do if you don't have an old pair of underwear. So now I'm pissed. I'm furious. I'm guarded. I'm hard. I'm mad.
So what day did you become Wonder Woman? Because at some point you had to make a decision like, you know what? I have a family of my own. I'm going to do this on my own. I don't need, and not that I was getting support, but I don't need the support of my family. So what day or what happened for Wonder Woman to reveal herself?
Wonder Woman was always in there a little. When I went off to college, it was like an hour and a half away, but I signed up for an apartment, a job. I would work 3 jobs. I had an apartment. I worked at my daughter's daycare so that I can see her in between classes. So it was always in there. But what really made it come out is the fact that I seen that I gave these same people a chance to finally be there for me. Include the authorities who we're taught not to trust. They're not for us. I gave so many people a chance to be there for me, and everyone let me down. So that's when that kind of beast came out. Like, you know what? I'm going to do this, this, and this without this, this, and this. And my husband talks about me to this day. He's like, I'm your husband. Let me help you. I just do it. I don't depend on anyone. And he's like, you cannot, our marriage cannot work that way. I'm your husband. I'm your partner. And my guard was even up with him.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, going through that for that many years, I'm sure you don't trust me to a certain extent, and it's hard to do that. So I applaud you for getting to that point. So let's talk about, because we really set the foundation for your background and how you developed this really hardcore shell, right? Yes. But I want to get to see that smile on your face because you know where I'm going. I want to, and I'm going to pull this up so we can share this. So let's talk about this because you look like a queen right here.
Oh, thank you.
So at what point did you decide that you were going to write a book? And I don't know if it's a book meant to tell your story.
Yes.
Or if it's a book meant to give power to other young women. So you tell me, what's the purpose of the book?
It's both. I've realized that I started writing this book about 3-4 years ago, but I've always been hesitant to publish it because of how my family would say I made them look, which I can't make anyone look like anything. So I wrote it 3-4 years ago. And when you're reading the book, you can tell what stage I'm in my life when I'm writing. You can tell when I'm upset. You can tell when I have so much anger and hate in me. You can tell at what part what I realize I need help. And you can tell what part I realize this help is actually working. So as you read the book, you can tell the different stages that I'm in, because sometimes I'll have to take a step back because I had to actually sit in it. And no one wants to sit in it. I had to actually sit in it and really come to terms with a lot that I've been through that I had hidden so long. So I really had to take that mask off. And in order for you to fully heal or even begin your healing journey, you have to take the mask off. And that's one of the hardest things, because you're also letting the world and people in onto some things that you kept hidden inside for yourself. So it's things in here that I wouldn't want anyone to know about me, but it's a part of my healing journey. And as I'm writing it and as I'm crying, remembering some of the things that I tried my best to forget about, I noticed that it started to help me. And then the feedback that I'm getting, I'm going to be honest. A lot of people say, you don't give yourself enough credit. I always put little in front of the stuff I do. Oh, I'm just little Jeanine. I'm just, and my husband and a lot of people around me hate that I do that. So I did not think that this book was going to get the recognition and support that it has been given. The feedback, of course, with the negativity, that's going to come. But the positivity that I've received from strangers, Mr. Rayford, strangers. I had someone.
You have to do me a favor. I'm sorry. You have to stop calling me Mr. Rayford.
Okay.
Call me Michael.
Michael, I'm sorry. So the support that I'm getting from this book, Michael, I didn't think I would get it. I have people reaching out to me that's closed my book that I don't even know and said that as soon as they finished reading and closed it, they reached out to me. Like I at first I didn't accept strangers from social media, but I started to. Some told me just start to. I would receive phone calls from people I didn't know, and I would answer. And it will be young women and young men. Let me be clear and put that out there. Young women are not the only ones that are sexually abused. It happens more to males, but males are more embarrassed and feel as though it's testing their manhood that they don't say anything. Absolutely. I've had females and males reach out to me crying, saying that I gave them motivation to speak up. Thanks for putting myself out there. Thanks. I gave them the courage because I had the courage. So to me, that is awesome. As I'll get down a little bit because of the backlash that I'm receiving from families. And I had to tell some people, do not send me anything else they say or write about me. That's none of my business. Let them get out whatever they need to get out. And I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing because it's not only helping me, but it's helping others. So I'll get down with that sometimes. But then God, he knows it. Someone will send me a message or a phone call and it'll just be so positive. Like, you helped me get through this. And I'm like, see, thank you, God. Because
Let me ask you a question. So when we met a few weeks ago, and I told you, I said, I like interviewing people who have a story to tell because somebody can benefit from that story. I didn't expect all of this. So what were you thinking when I said that to you a few weeks ago? Because I'm sure you're like,
No, ask my husband. I said, Ramil, this man, he's different. I'm like, he's different. I say, I think he knows me, but doesn't know me. He picks up, like, you have gifted people like that. And I told my husband, I said, I need you to meet him. I said, it's like he knows my story, but he wants me to tell it, but he doesn't want to tell it. I felt like you knew already. And sometimes that scares me a little bit. And he's saying, my husband's like, no, it's good people out there, Jeanine, because for a long time, I didn't think it was good people out here because of so much stuff that happened to me. I just was like, the world is bad. And my husband like, it's good people out here, Jeanine. So I'm telling him, I said, Michael, I think he's one of those good people. I said, but I think he has a gift. He knows I have a story, but he wants me to tell it without him telling it for me. So I
Well,
felt like you knew a little. I felt like you knew something.
I appreciate your courage because you could have gone the other way.
And that's what I'm
And
so happy about, because I researched some things, and I researched, what happens to women who have been, or even people who have been through what I've been through. And the list was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. And I'm just so, I'm sad that that list is there, because the victims, we shouldn't go through what we go through when we, because it's happening to us. So I'm sad that the list is there, but I was really grateful that I only had about 1 or 2 things on that list.
good. Now, this book is taking you, and I'm a little jealous. This book is taking you to Mexico. It is taking you to the DR. So what has that experience been like?
Shocking. Again, I did not know. My husband and other people around me say, Jeanine, you don't know the type of effect that you have on people. You're a powerful woman, you're a strong woman. And now I understand that I can't just sit around and be sad about the family that I was, the family that I could not choose for myself, that I was born into, being so hurtful towards me. But it's the family that you create. God's put certain people in your life for a reason. And he has blessed me with a lot of good people that are like mother figures and things of that nature, so that I can solely, just focus on becoming a better me. So going to those places, again, I did not think this book would have such a huge effect on people. Like, I'm grateful it did. I thought, I'm gonna be honest. I'm very honest. And the reason I wrote this book is because it's very transparent and raw. Because I feel like the subject around it, you can't cookie cutter that subject. There's no sugarcoating that. It's raw. It happened. I'm going to tell you just how it happened. So I didn't expect it to go as far as it did, but I'm grateful. But it's been amazing. I'm having people like, okay, can you make it an audiobook? Can we get it in a different language? And I'm like, different language, audiobook, like what? They're like, when is part 2 coming out? And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I still have to catch up to, okay, this is really happening. Another thing, I didn't do this for money. I'm not the richest, but I'm doing okay. I work really hard and I'm doing okay. So I didn't write it for money, but I'm shocked that it's doing what it's doing. Like, I went to a self-publisher, and she will tell me, like, this is going to take off. Her motto is, your story is someone else's survival kit. And Miss Vanessa, she says I remind her a lot of her story, and you're going to help a lot of people. And I'm like, okay, this is just stuff publishers tell you. We'll see. But it really has been a blessing, that it can be a blessing to so many people. I love that it's helping so many people and having them find the courage to speak out, because holding that in, you're just, you're just hurting yourself. And I tell people that people will look at me and say, oh, you're so pretty, you dress so nice, you're so well put together. Yeah, because I had to make sure the outside of me was okay, but because the inside was ugly.
Right. That is awesome. Because you just mentioned a part 2, audiobooks, what is next for Against All Odds and yourself?
What's next for me is that I'm going to be doing some speaking engagements. I've already started on part 2. And I just want to speak not to just females. I want to speak to the younger generation and older people, because like I said in my book, no one was there for that 8-year-old Jeanine, 16-year-old Jeanine, 23-year-old Jeanine, 30-year-old Jeanine, So I want to speak to females and males who have went through this, to let them know that it's never too late. It's never too late to put yourself first and get the help that you need and start to heal. It's never too late. A lot of people think, oh, I've been going through this and keeping this inside for 10, 20 years. I'm good. No, you're not. You're not. So I just want to help people to do their best to try to unleash it in a healthy way, so that they can be a better them.
That is good stuff. Now we're getting to the part, That is an awesome story. I can even think of movies that would fit that, or I see a movie somewhere. But as a part of the interviewing process that I do, like you have your cause, right?
Yes.
And then I also have my cause, which is how money works. And so every guest that I have on the show, we go through a couple questions because my cause is teaching people how money works. And the more people I tell, they can help spread the word and help other people as well. So I'm going to challenge you with a few questions and nothing too deep. And it's all about you and your family. So my first question to you is, how did you learn about money?
Whoa. Basic school math, I would say, and seeing the people around me, how they use money, how they make money and use it and spend it. So that's, the school teaches you the basics, addition, subtraction, multiplication, things like that. But who taught me about money? I would say I learned just by looking. I learned by looking.
I'm sure there's a point in your life, because when you decided to become or let Wonder Woman out, like when you said you were working your 3 jobs, like you probably had to figure some things out on your own because you probably didn't want to depend on too many people because of the trust issue.
Yes. I watched my sister with money, other people around with money. I just watched them. And, of course they like, okay, you're going to have bills to pay. You're going to have this. So, that, but not too much. I'm still learning, to be honest with you. I'm still learning. Good. I'm still learning and unlearning some bad habits about money.
Absolutely. All right, good. Next question. So, and you talked about this a little bit. Who do you think should be responsible to teach our kids about money? Is it the school system? Is it eventually when they get a job? Or is it their parents?
I'm going to have to go with parents. Because the school only teaches you so much. I'm a big advocate at whatever the school teaches you. I feel like you still should teach your kids at home, because the school is not teaching everything that they should. They keep a lot of history hidden to make themselves look. I can go on and on about that. So I really do think that the parents, should take some type of ownership in teaching the children about money.
Okay, good. Now this is a trick one, kind of, sort of.
Okay.
Because you do have young children, what are some things that you are teaching them?
I'm teaching them a lot of things that I was not taught. We're taught, when you have money, you automatically spend it, because you have it, you spend it, So, and if you have a lot of it, you got to look like you have a lot of it. And no. I'm into fashion and designer, but I'm into saving. I'm into stocks. I'm into, Roth. I'm into all those accounts, but I didn't get into this until a couple years ago. I didn't know anything about it. I knew about savings and credit, but the other things, I didn't know anything about it. So I'm teaching them, and I stated this earlier, I'm teaching them what I wasn't taught. And on top of that, I have to unlearn a lot of bad behaviors about money that I learned, and not even trying to learn, but they just rub off on you. You want everything to look good. You want your house to look good. You want to drive a nice car. So unlearning that behavior and trying to teach it to my kids that just because you have money doesn't necessarily mean you have to spend it. That's what I'm struggling with my 12-year-old. As soon as she gets some money, she in her mind, she has to spend it. And she said that, well, I have money, you have to spend it. Like, no, you don't have to spend it. You can save it, but to a 12-year-old, what am I saving money for? I have it. So trying to, meet them where they're at. Like, they're kids, so they want to have fun. So letting them enjoy being a kid, but at the same time, getting some seriousness into it. Like, I know you're a kid now, but you won't always be a kid. And, you need to know these things, but I'm going to let you be a kid a little bit. But, so it's finding that balance is what I would say is the hardest, finding the balance.
And that's good, because that's one of the reasons why we're on this campaign, is because people need, and when I say people, I'm talking about people who look like us. We need to start having more of these conversations,
yes, we do.
Right? Because if your parents aren't talking about it and your neighbor's not talking about it, your cousin's not talking about it, where are you supposed to get the information? And if you're just getting it from school, who's to say that they're giving you enough or that it's accurate?
You're right.
So last one. I want you to think back. And I know you're 29. So
no,
if you were going
to. Well, thank you. I am. I'm 29. Go ahead. I'm 29.
If you were going to talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell your 18-year-old self about money?
If I had to tell my 18-year-old self about money,
I mean, you could have had a good experience or a bad experience. How would you share? What would you share with your younger self?
I would share with my younger self that just because you have it, you don't have to spend it. And I will tell my younger self to learn more about investing in stocks and things that can make you residual income versus just what you look like on the outside. Because I've stated that I'm big on, I used to be very big on how I look on the outside because I tried to hide what was inside. So I would tell my 18-year-old self, it's not about perception, because you can look like $1 million
and have nothing,
and have absolutely nothing. And
absolutely.
that hurts more than anything.
Because at some point you got to take that stuff off. And then how do you feel?
And when you look in the mirror, what do you see then? Without all this flashy stuff, what do you see?
Absolutely. So we're wrapping up, but I want you to, this is your moment to, and I know you said you don't want to just talk to young girls. You want to talk to young boys. You want to talk to young people and old people. So this is your chance to give a message to those individuals who your story could touch. What would you say?
I would say that, I'm very honest. And although I'm going to be honest and say it's not easy. It's not easy. The people who you expect to support you may not be there. They might let you down, but you have to continue to push through and go forward for yourself. Time does not heal all wounds. You have to put in the work. You have to. I know the saying, time heals all wounds, but I don't go by that saying because I've learned from experience. Time passed and my wounds were not healed. You have to put in the work. You have to sit in your stuff, come to terms with it, and push through to get through it the best way you know how. You have to keep going no matter what. No matter who's in your corner or who's against you. You have to push through no matter what. It's not going to be easy, but I'm here for you. And you have other people that you may not even know that's there for you. You have people. Just keep going.
That's good stuff. Now, for those who are going to see this interview, how can they, do you want people to reach out to you? How do you want, if people have questions, concerns, maybe going through something, how can they reach out to you?
Yes, they can reach out to me. My Facebook is Jeanine Bradford-Lee, Jennine. My Instagram is just Jeanine. And then my website where they can find my book and also get in contact.
Hold that up a little higher.
Where they can find my book, and they can also reach out to me is justjeanine.com. And I am there whenever they need me. I have people DMing me and messaging me at 2, 3 in the morning. If I'm up and I see it, I respond. I respond to everything. Even if it's negative, I respond.
All right. This has been an awesome interview. I want to thank you very much. So this is Jeanine Bradford-Lee, author of Against All Odds. It has been my pleasure. You stay strong. Continue to spread the love and the knowledge, and keep me up to date on what's going on next, because I'd love to have you on and help spread the word and give people some nuggets that will help them grow as well.
Thank
you. Stay blessed, sister.
Thank you.